All right, let's get right into it, because what we're talking about today is a huge deal. It's a genuine breakthrough, a solution to a fundamental computing problem that has, believe it or not, stumped some of the smartest people on the planet for over 60 years.
So let's start with something you probably do all the time. How does your GPS figure out the fastest way to get you somewhere in a city packed with millions of people and streets? You just pull out your phone, type in where you're going, and bam, there's the best route. But how? How does it actually crunch all that data, sifting through millions of possible paths, like instantly?
And look, this isn't just about your morning commute. This exact same problem is at the heart of how data zips across the internet, how social networks map out all our connections, or even how scientists map out incredibly complex biological systems. We're talking about networks with billions, maybe even trillions of points. The scale is just mind-blowing. Okay, so what we're really talking about here is what's known as the single source shortest path problem, or, SSSP if you want to sound cool. It's a cornerstone of computer science, right? The whole goal is to find the fastest way from point A to every other point in the entire network. And for a very, very long time, there's been one undisputed king of solving this.
Yeah, for decades, the undisputed champ has been Dijkstra's algorithm. Now, if you've ever stepped foot in a computer science class, you've definitely heard this name. It's like a classic. I mean, this thing was developed way back in 1959. It's the go-to, the classic solution. And its strategy is actually pretty simple, but also kind of brilliant. It just methodically finds the shortest path by always picking the next closest spot to visit from where it started.
Okay, to really get this, imagine a delivery planner who is an absolute obsessive perfectionist. They start at the warehouse, right? Then they look at their massive list of all the possible places to go next, and they painstakingly find the single closest one. They add it to the route, and then, and this is the really important part, they resort the entire list all over again before picking the next stop. It's super meticulous. And yeah, it guarantees you get the best path, but you can probably see where this is going. It also creates a huge bottleneck.
And that bottleneck, well, that's what brings us to the central challenge here, the thing that has defined this field for 60 years, the unbreakable sorting barrier. All that constant, painstaking sorting, it creates a speed limit, a wall, a barrier, that for the longest time seemed totally and fundamentally impossible to break. So you've got this classic dilemma. On one hand, Dijkstra's big strength is that it's a perfectionist. It is guaranteed to find you the best possible route. But on the other hand, its great weakness is that to be so perfect, it has to keep this perfectly sorted list of every single potential next stop. And as that network gets bigger and bigger, well, that sorting job just becomes completely overwhelming.
Now, in computer science terms, this speed limit is known as O of m plus n log n time complexity. But really, you can just think of it as a universal speed limit for this kind of problem. For decades, that was just the accepted price of admission, the cost of finding the shortest path. Everyone just knew you couldn't get any faster than that, period. And I'm not exaggerating here. This wasn't just a hunch or a popular theory. The researchers who made this new breakthrough even say it in their paper. It was just a widely, generally believed fact in the computer science community. The sorting barrier wasn't just a tough challenge to overcome. It was treated like a fundamental law of nature for this kind of problem. That is, until now. A team of researchers figured out a brilliant way to sidestep this whole 60-year-old problem, and they did it by taking two classic rival algorithms and smashing them together in a totally new, completely unexpected way. So, in one corner, you've got Dijkstra, our meticulous perfectionist, and in the other corner, you have an algorithm called Bellman-Ford. Now think of Bellman-Ford as the brute force. It's not elegant at all. It basically just runs around yelling at every single point in the network, "Hey, you, found a better route yet?" over and over again. It's simple, sure, but it's usually way less efficient. The secret sauce, the real genius, was figuring out how to make these two rivals actually work together. Okay, to understand how they pulled this off, you need to know one key term, the frontier. Let's go back to our delivery planner. The frontier is just that massive, overwhelming list of all the possible next stops they have to sort through every single time. And the first stroke of genius in this new algorithm is realizing, wait a minute, maybe you don't have to sort the entire frontier all the time. And the second brilliant move is this concept they call pivots. The idea is, instead of looking at every single street corner, what if you could just identify a handful of really crucial intersections? The major hubs that unlock huge parts of the map. Those are the pivots. So here is how the clever strategist's plan works. It's amazing. First, the algorithm starts out exploring locally, just like our perfectionist friend, Dijkstra. But, and here's the key, when that list of next stops, the frontier, gets way too big and slow to sort, it just pauses. It stops. Then, it completely switches tactics. It unleashes the brute forcer, Bellman-Ford, for just a few quick rounds, like sending out little drones to rapidly find those key intersections, the pivots. And just like that, it can shrink that massive frontier down to a tiny, super manageable list of just the pivots. And then, it goes right back to being the perfectionist, continuing its search from that much, much smaller list. It's this incredible hybrid that truly gets the best of both worlds.
So, why does this all matter? Well, let me be super clear. This isn't just some tiny incremental improvement. This is a fundamental shift in how we think about one of the oldest, most foundational problems in all of computing.
The result is a brand new, faster theoretical speed limit. This new algorithm smashes right through that 60-year-old barrier. It proves, for the very first time, that the legendary Dijkstra's algorithm is not the best and final answer for this problem.
The impact of this is it's huge. First off, it proved that a belief held for over half a century was just plain wrong. Second, it's the first deterministic algorithm to do this, which just means it's reliable. It works the same way every time, no randomness involved. It cleverly merges these two classic rival methods in a way no one had before, and maybe most importantly, it throws open the doors for solving all sorts of other complex network problems that we thought were, well, unsolvable.
You know, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? For 60 years, everybody thought this problem was basically solved, that we'd hit a hard wall. This breakthrough is such a great reminder that sometimes the biggest barriers aren't actually in the math itself. They're in how we're looking at the problem. And it leaves us with this really exciting question to think about. What other impossible problems out there are just one clever idea, one new perspective, away from finally being solved?